Welcome to the Preparing the Data File lesson on the Montana Early Warning System. In this lesson, we will cover how to prepare the data file that needs to be uploaded into the GEMS to use the EWS. If you have any questions or concerns about the Montana Early Warning System, please contact Eric Meredith at 406-444-3642 or email at emeredith@mt.gov. The upload process occurs on the EWS overview page, but only in GEMS Secure. This is the only difference between the secure and public version of GEMS on the EWS overview page. There is a space in the secure version to upload your data file. The data file is an Excel spreadsheet and must be in a specific format. The Early Warning System data file template that is available for download on this page does display the correct format. We will cover more on the format of this file later in the lesson. There are 10 data elements that must go into the data file. 9 of them are variables about each student, and 1 is the identifier so that EWS knows which student to attach the data to. The identification variable is the state student ID number. The other 9 are attendance, grades, and behavior data that OPI does not collect for each individual in the state. This data is needed to use the EWS. However, it is not a requirement to have data on every variable for every single student. The EWS has measures that account for missing data. For example, if a student is new in your school, you may not know the number of Fs the student received during the previous term. The EWS will account for this. However, the more accurate and complete data that can be provided for each student, the better the EWS results will be. Here are some specifics on each data element, including examples of how that data element should look. Most of the data variables are self-explanatory. One key thing to recognize in many of these variables is that it uses a count number of events of some kind in a certain amount of days. Those days are calendar days, not school days. So, for example, the number of absences in the past 60 days is not over the past 60 school days, but the past 60 calendar days, or roughly 2 months. The only exception to this is that days over the summer break are not counted as calendar days. This is done so at the beginning of the school year, the student count will not always be 0, and will actually look at the last 60 calendar days of the previous school year. We should also clarify what credits year and on track are. These two variables are both used in the EWS and are related to each other. The credits per year variable is exactly what it says, the number of high school credits earned towards graduation per year. So, for example, a junior at the beginning of the school year that has earned 12 credits has 12 credits per year of 6, or 12 divided by 2. This variable is updated at the end of every semester. On track is a variable to determine if a student is on track to graduate based on the number of credits they have earned. This variable is just a yes or no variable. On track does not take into effect what those credits are, just the total credits. So a student missing an English class could potentially still be marked as on track. On track uses the credits per year variable to determine if the student is on track. For example, a school requiring 22 credits to graduate would mean a student needs to average 5.5 credits per year or more to attain that. If their credits per year is above 5.5, then they are on track to graduate. It's also very important to understand there is a difference between a blank space in the data file and a 0. A blank space designates that the specific data variable for that student is unknown. A 0 designates that the count of that data variable is in fact 0. For example, a student with no A grades received in the previous term will have a 0 in the column for the previous term A's, and a student where it's not known how many A's the student received the previous term will have a blank space in that column. This is an important difference in getting the correct EWS results. Here is an example of a data file for 10 students. Each row in the Excel spreadsheet designates a different student, which is identified by their student state ID number. The state ID is listed first, followed by the 9 data variables for each student. It is important that the columns are listed in the specific order provided in the slide. The order is also available in the data file template available on the EWS overview page in GEMS. You may notice in the example that some of the data is blank and not filled in. In certain cases, such as when a student changes schools, you may not have all the data elements needed. EWS still works without all the data. However, the more data you provide, the more accurate the results will be. It's also important to notice the difference between the zeros in the spreadsheet and the blank spaces. A 0 means the count is in fact 0. A blank space means the data is not available. It's also important that the sheet name in your Excel spreadsheet is EWS. If you try and upload a data file into GEMS without the correct sheet name, you will get an error and the data will not upload. The sheet name can be changed in the Excel in the bottom left corner, and the default name is Sheet 1. The sheet name is not shown in the example provided on the slide. That concludes this lesson on preparing your EWS data file. This slide shows the remaining lessons, including the next one in the series, uploading your data file into GEMS.